I'm Gab. He's Don Hutchinson.
No Jules.
No Jules today. He's traveling at the Women's Euros. But don't worry, we'll take good care of you. We'll do our best. I'm back in the studio. I feel like I've come home, Don.
Same.
And you're here to greet me.
Same. Been away at the Club World Cup. It's nice to be back home.
There's a lot to get through because obviously we've got the Women's Euros had started, the Club World Cup. We've got our semi-finalists, and we're going to start actually with Paris Saint-Germain. Oh, and we've got lots of transfer stuff. Don't worry, we'll be talking Gyökeres and whatnot. But Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern.
Yeah.
This was the heavyweight clash. Paris Saint-Germain go through. What I was struck by just watching this is how it was almost like mirror images of each other. What I love about Paris Saint-Germain is Luis Enrique he's really good at playing a possession game when they so choose.
Yeah.
Or otherwise they're good at pressing you.
Yep.
And it felt like certainly the first hour or so of this game was just high press, lose the ball, everybody run back, high press the other way, lose the ball, everybody run back.
I watched PSG at the Club World Cup, and I've done quite a few of their games, and I worked on the Inter Miami game, not just the Inter Miami game, but what they've done in the Champions League. And I really get the feeling, Gav, that football's now evolving. I think probably just before Pep, but more so Pep was all about possession. Not necessarily a slower tempo game, but it was keeping the ball. Don't give the ball away. 5-10 yard passes, no high risk 30-yard passes when you can give the ball away. I watch Luis Enrique since he's been the Spanish manager, and he bored me to tears when he was the manager. They had like close to 1,000 passes a game. Never looked like scoring. Now I'm watching him with his PSG
This
side.
man was a professional footballer and a midfielder who was known for his passing, and passing bores him.
His Spanish side passed bored me to tears because it was almost like...
Because Morata couldn't finish. I know.
It was almost like, let's have 1,000 passes because we're guaranteed to win a game. And it was boring. Right. Now I'm looking at a guy who's got a young, energetic side that can beat you by closing you down, that can beat you by their skill. In my opinion, when I watch PSG now under Luis Enrique, they're the best team in the world. They are the most exciting team in the world to watch. That's why I think now everyone's going to try and copy what PSG are doing. And that's why I think over the next 18 months, football's going to evolve from that passing style to wingers who are exciting, taking players on. Whoa. Best two fullbacks in the world, best midfield three in the world, all the dynamism at the top end of the pitch.
Okay. I'm not sure you're with football, but pressing, the high press is nothing new in football. It's not an evolution here.
I know.
But all right, let's save that for later for the podcast chat. What I want to emphasize here is that Bayern, until Musiala got hurt, and we're going to get to that in a minute, Bayern hung in there.
Yep.
And I think they certainly had the chance. Donnarumma had to make some huge saves.
He did.
Donnarumma in the news also because of when he came off that clash with Musiala. It looked horrendous. Those reactions on the pitch. Now we know Musiala, the injury could have been a lot worse. It looks like they're talking 3 to 4 months. I know you are not a goalkeeper. What's your take on this? Because we heard very different versions of this from Manuel Neuer and Thibaut Courtois. Courtois saying, I would have done the same thing. It's normal for a goalkeeper. You don't have time to react.
Yeah.
Neuer saying that it was rash and it was dangerous what he did. Remember, no foul even.
I think probably Neuer's probably seen that from his team and his players' perspective.
Or maybe he remembers himself doing that Gonzalo Higuain not that long ago.
Well, maybe. But I think when you look at the incident and you look at it and you go, total accident. Both players committed to try and get in the ball. A 50-50, that happens all of the time. And every now and again, one every couple of years, a player comes off with a bad injury. You can't fault Donnarumma. In my opinion, you can't. I think he was committed to getting the ball. I think he tried his best to try and get there. Musiala was trying to score. That's the classic example of a 50-50 and someone coming off that little bit worse than the other. It looks terrible when you see the injury and when you read about what he's done, and it is because we all feel it as players. But I wouldn't put any blame on Donnarumma.
Now, late in the game, Paris Saint-Germain, we talk about this too, 2 red cards. The Lucas Hernandez one a bit harsh.
What?
What? Okay. All right. You didn't think so. All right. The William Pacho one I thought was ridiculous.
Well, I thought Hernandez, after coming on for about 5 minutes and then doing that.
Totally unnecessary. These guys are going to be suspended.
It's all right. They can beat you a 9. They can score a 9. And they did.
They did, yes. There's a Kylian Mbappe. Ousmane Dembele, of course, scoring. One of many tributes that we saw over the weekend, of course, to the late Diogo Jota. But from my perspective, that was kind of still a reminder, this is still a young team. There's still a team that gets a little bit rash. Luis Enrique will be absolutely furious because Pacho, I think, has been arguably the best defender, close to it in this tournament.
Yeah.
That I think is going to be an issue.
You rolled your
in
eyes
the
a little bit
semifinal.
when I said best team in the world. Do you disagree?
Let's leave that for the Gab and Jules podcast. All right, Don.
Look at your eyes.
You challenged me with this, like the best team in the world, blah, blah, blah. Answer is I genuinely don't know because, yes.
Well, in a couple of weeks' time, we will know if they win it.
Well, no, who wins the Club World Cup. I think, Gigi Donnarumma's agent, Vincenzo Raiola, made the point. He's like, well, without his saves, they wouldn't have beaten Barcelona. They wouldn't have beaten, and they wouldn't have beaten, sorry, not Barcelona. They wouldn't have beaten Arsenal and
Villa?
And Villa, that's right.
Liverpool?
And Liverpool. So the reason I'm just slightly hesitant to go and, I mean, they may be the best team in the world, and certainly they deserve
In my eyes, they are.
to win the Champions League. When you're so reliant on a goal, I know it's a game of, no, but what I'm saying is,
It is his job.
okay, let me ask you this. I'm here. Okay. Arsenal fans, get ready. Are Arsenal the best team in the Premier League?
No.
No. Okay. Arsenal against the best team in the world, eventually, it came down to Gigi Donnarumma making a couple unbelievable saves.
The best team in England is Liverpool, and they ran them into extra time. And they should have scored 2 or 3 in the first 20 minutes. But Donnarumma was on fire in the second 45, and in extra time, and their young legs took over. How can Arsenal... I laughed when Arteta said they're the best team in the world, Arsenal, because Liverpool were 15 points clear in the Premier League at the time,
Okay.
who ran PSG into extra time in pens.
Right. So laugh at Arteta all you want. Look, and like, I agree.
Well, I will.
Having watched these
Liverpool
games,
took them to pens.
sure, but doesn't that undermine your argument that they're by far the best team in the world?
Here's the biggest compliment I can pay to PSG.
I don't understand this. Wait, if Liverpool,
I'm not saying Liverpool are the best team in the world, but what I'm saying is Liverpool have got more case to put their hands up than Arsenal.
okay, but the point is in these games, right? Except for the final,
Yeah.
they were run very, very close, and their goalkeeper had to make some incredible saves, which he might not have gotten to, right?
Granted.
And look, I mean, I think the first leg against Liverpool was not close. The one with
they battered them.
Harvey Elliott.
Oh, they
battered
battered
them.
them. They battered them.
Right. But so for me to come out and sort of definitively crowd them, not to mention that they also already lost a game in this tournament, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I would pump the brakes a little bit.
Well, here's why
Let's see how they do against the mighty Real Madrid and Xabi Alonso.
This is
and
why,
possibly in the final against Chelsea or Fluminense. Yeah.
Let's see. This is why I say, this is why I think it's a massive compliment to PSG. Why I sit here and say they are the best team in the world.
It's like having Jules back.
No.
Come on.
No, I've got no dog in the fight here. But if you're going to try and improve that PSG starting 11, there's probably only 3 or 4 players in the world that would get in that team.
Okay, listeners, this is your challenge.
So if you want to swap Donnarumma for Courtois, you can if you want, but it's semantics. It's like millimetres. You're not seeing a massive upgrade. You ain't swapping the 2 fullbacks for anyone in the world. They're the best 2. You'd probably put Van Dijk alongside Marquinhos.
Or somebody else, yeah.
Or someone else, so one.
Marquinhos has not had the best season either. I know.
All right, but we're talking one position. If you're putting Van Dijk there,
I think you could probably upgrade both center backs if you really want to go there.
But hear me out. Give me one. You ain't.
As I love Donnarumma, by the way, Paris Saint-Germain don't even think he's that good. If it's true that he's got a year left on his contract and they're relaxed.
But you just said he was on fire.
Oh, he was on fire.
Well,
but
so he's brilliant then.
I'm not sure Luis Enrique shares your view that Donnarumma cannot possibly be improved upon because
no, I didn't say. I said if you want to upgrade players by a margin, you can. But there's no. You're not going to look at Donnarumma and go, oh, if we sign Courtois, he's like 1,000,000 times better. The margins are small. The midfield 3 you wouldn't change.
You don't think Rodri would be an upgrade?
No, I'd look at that midfield 3 and I think they function really well. They all complement each other. You ain't changing Kvaratskhelia on the left-hand side. You ain't really changing Dembele. So then you've probably got Mo Salah on the right-hand side for Liverpool. So you're looking at like 2 or 3 players.
Sorry, Lamine Yamal. There's no room for you in the side.
You can't. There's only 11 boys. Would you pick Yamal over Mo Salah?
What about...
No. Would you pick Yamal over Mo Salah? They're playing the same position. You can only have 11.
Different sorts of players, but...
Answer the question.
I would play Mo Salah through the middle.
Oh, get out of town.
Can do that.
You get my argument.
No,
there's only 3 or 4 players in the world that gets in that
point.
PSG team.
And I think it's also true that Luis Enrique has made them more than the sum of their parts. Let's then go back to Bayern now, because obviously Musiala's had injuries in and out throughout.
He's had a trouble year, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's had a difficult season. But obviously his talent's not in question. And I think there were moments last year when they were accused of, not least by me, of Musiala dependency. Now you're looking at a long stop. They've been linked, and we'll get to this later, with Nick Voldemort. He's a very different player from Musiala, even though you can say he occupies a similar position behind the striker. My question is, do you have an in-house solution, or does it mean you have to go back on the market? Because I'll tell you, actually, I'm asking a rhetorical question. I'll give you the answer, as I view it. I want to see Olise play at 10.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to see Olise play at 10. You may need to pick up another winger.
So Coman on the left, Gnabry on the right. You're not a Gnabry fan.
No, these guys, I don't. I mean, like
Coman, I love.
If he stays fit, Gnabry's contract, I think, is winding down anyway. So, you're going.
But you're essentially losing two players, aren't you? You're losing Thomas Müller and Musiala, your two number 10s. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, so you've got to replace two amazing players.
You're going to have to do that. I think maybe you can also look at the other option is if Bowie produces, maybe you can think of playing Goretzka, and just going more sort of 4-3-3. If you don't, if the Olise solution isn't there, right? Because if you've got a fit Pavlovic, you've got Kimmich, you've got ballers in midfield, and then you can play Goretzka as kind of like.
I think you'll buy. Do you not think you'll buy? I do.
But I don't know that you can buy a number 10 though. I think you have to think in terms of buying in the winger role.
Yeah, so you could buy a winger and then shift Olise in one. I think that makes more sense.
Yeah.
You can give Olise a bit of a free role because he's a fantastic footballer with a good brain.
In terms of the game itself, though, Paris Saint-Germain, the best team in the world, by far, can only be improved in a couple of positions.
Yeah.
Can we give Bayern and my man Vinny Company a little bit of credit? Because they've put up with so much crap this season. And I said there was a moment when they could have won this game.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. The Courtois save at the end.
You mean the Donnarumma?
Donnarumma save, sorry.
Yeah. Courtois plays for a different team.
I know.
But there were moments when this is to me, going back to what you were saying before, if you play this wild high counter press, you're always preying upon the possibility that first of all, I'm not such a fan of it because you're always preying on opponents' mistakes rather than creating something. And look, this is not a knock on Paris Saint-Germain.
No, but as you said before,
different ways, right?
As you said before, the press is not something new. It's been happening for 50 years.
But Harry Kane gives the ball away. Desiree Doué comes forward, and he finds that spot.
That's what they can do. It's moments. They can boss you in midfield, PSG, but they can create moments because they've got skillful players. But going back to Bayern, I think you're right. I think you have to give them credit for what they've done last season and what Vinny's trying to do there, trying to change the style a little bit. But I do think now with Thomas Müller leaving and Musiala's injury, they're going to have to buy. They're going to have to strengthen.
No, I don't think there's any question there. But that's a good transition to Thomas Müller, actually, because what a career he's had. I always wonder, is there a good way to say goodbye to your star player, right? And people always often say, like, best run teams would rather let a guy go a year early than a year late.
Yeah.
I think Thomas Müller, until the end, the last couple of years, he's not one of those guys who got old and embarrassed himself out there.
No.
And I think it's partly because, all right, he lost athleticism. I mean, for me, Thomas Müller, not the most technically gifted player.
No,
but
that's fair.
A phenomenal athlete.
Yep.
And I know it's a cliche.
You'd say he got the most out of his career.
He's the smartest guy on the field.
Yeah.
I mean, his understanding.
If you're Vinny Company, would you not be tempted after Musiala's injury to try and persuade him to stay for one more year?
No.
Or is that done?
He can't play at number 10. He's not. I mean, that's done.
That's the one position I thought he could play at his age with his brain.
With his brain, but he doesn't have the technical ability to. You put a guy on him, he's not going to have that.
But there's different number 10s. You might see a number 10 as like a Messi or a Maradona, where they're
but
skillful.
I want a guy
but you can run into positions.
Yeah, but I want a guy who can replicate as much as possible Musiala, so that I don't then have to tinker everything. I don't want a totally different number 10.
That's how you see the game. But number 10s can be brilliant at running.
That's
running
fine. But even assuming Müller at his age suddenly becomes brilliant, leaving aside the athleticism side of it, right? But Musiala,
that's just a thought.
Well, look, Bayern operate against teams who park the bus. Musiala in tight spaces
And he's great
is
in the
nearly unplayable.
And he's good in the air. So Thomas Müller. So if you are going to be playing against a low block and you're putting crosses in, who better?
Right, but then I might as well say, and then make it a front two and have him and Kane and have my wingers pumping crosses, right? Then that's another way of playing. But then he's not playing number 10 anymore, right?
I know. I'm just trying to think outside the box.
Okay. Yeah, I think
Literally.
Exactly. I want my number 10 to Olise can't be Musiala, but he can do more Musiala type stuff.
I get that.
So I certainly would love to see that there. Just to round this out, we were both there at the Club World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Both sent home from the Club World Cup.
Round of 16.
Mark Ogden's out there. There you go.
My last game was watching the best team in the world in PSG. Dismantled into Miami. Could have been 15-0.
Just in terms of the football out there, I wrote a column saying that the other teams, people were saying like, oh, look, the quarterfinals, they'll be like the Champions League. It'll be 8 European teams, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Instead, as it happens, we had 3 non-European teams in the quarterfinals. We had teams from 4 continents, and Sundowns came very, very close
I've done
as well.
3 times out there. Privileged to watch them.
Is the gap maybe between the big European sides and the rest of the world not as big as some people? It's not like they're automatically going to wipe the floor with all of them.
No, but that was the most intriguing thing before you watched a ball being kicked. From my angle, was watching. My first game was the Sundowns versus Ulsan HD, South Korean side. So you're watching the South African side against the South Korean side. Then you're watching Inter Miami taking on Dortmund and Porto, and you're watching Fluminense and Palmeiras. My intrigue came from I've seen Juventus play Borussia Dortmund a million times, or Man City play Real Madrid a million times. I've never seen Brazilian sides take on American sides.
And have
European
you seen
sides.
that maybe the gap with Europe? This is what I'm asking. The gap
Definitely.
is not as big as
it's definitely not as big, but it's different because you're looking at the European side, some of the powerhouses who rely on intensity and fitness against the technical ability of the Brazilian sides. That's where the matchups for me were really intriguing. Is the fitness of the European sides and their run and power and their stamina going to beat a team that's technically very good and keep hold of the ball and strangle a life out of possession? That was my intrigue. So now when you match it all and you lob everything together and you stick it in a pot, you go, well, actually, it's really, really close. In my opinion, I think the margins are really close because you're watching different styles and different formations and different techniques, different strategies going against different teams. I think it's fascinating. It's amazing.
I think the other variance here that we need to bear in mind is that most of these teams, and
some of the teams are mid-season. A lot of the teams have finished their seasons. So there's all those little dynamics to put into the pot.
There's also the fact that some teams have played a lot more games than other teams. And by the way, it's not the European teams. All those people making excuses. They're tired. The Brazilian teams played more games.
I think they're like close to like 65 games or
yeah,
something.
Exactly. So STFU on that one. But no, but for me, the other thing which makes this interesting is that all these teams, with the exception perhaps of the Seattle Sounders, who of course are there because they won the CONCACAF Champions Cup 4 years ago, and since then the team's basically been gutted and all the good players left, right? But they still made a decent account of them. Most of these teams are powerhouse teams. Most of these teams are used to going out and dominating the opposition. Yeah. So you're going out there with a sense of confidence. Maybe they have to be more humble because they're playing against Paris Saint-Germain or Real Madrid or whatever. But you still have that confidence, that mindset that comes from being part of a
Inter Miami had
team.
that. Inter Miami had that since sort of match day 1 up until they played against PSG. They had the confidence, but you looked at them and they were never going to be able to compete with PSG because you're looking at Busquets at 38 and Suarez at 38.
Stop making excuses.
No, you're looking at age. So come on, when you look at the Inter Miami team, they've done unbelievably well to get there, but they're never going to beat PSG.
I'll give you a much better example. Al Ahly, who put them to the sword in the first game.
Should have been 4-0 up and should have been down 10 minutes.
In the last game when the guy scored a hat trick.
Yeah, but they beat Porto.
Yeah, I mean,
Messi free kick.
It was 4-4.
No, Inter Miami, they beat Porto.
Yeah, stop talking. You're obsessed with Inter Miami.
I'm not, but these are the games I commentated on.
Should have done more Al Ahly.
I did. Against Inter Miami, they should have been 4-0 up against them. They battered them.
So I think we're learning a lot. But let's wait till the end of the tournament to draw our final conclusions. All right, enough PSG, best team in the world. How about some quick hits instead?
Let's do it.
Real Madrid beat Borussia Dortmund 3-2 and will take on Paris Saint-Germain in the semifinal. Dawn, they looked dominant, but they nearly threw it all away at the end. Some huge blunders from Rudiger and Dean Heisen getting himself sent off.
Yeah.
And then requiring that superb save from Thibaut Courtois at the end.
They did. I'm not sure what to make of this new Real Madrid side. I know it's Xabi Alonso's first few games, so we're not judging him. I just look at this Real Madrid side now, and I think they look very young. And Housen wearing that Real Madrid shirt is a big shirt to fill, big shirt to wear. Whereas Goulet going to play, there's lots of youth in that side, which can be brilliant for the future. I just feel when you've lost Toni Kroos and you've lost Luka Modric, they're going to need that little bit of experience in midfield. But exciting times for them going forward. If you're a fan, you're watching this young side, you think, like, amazing team to watch. I'm just not sold on the bigger prizes. Can they get there?
And is Gonzalo Garcia legit?
Looks legit to me. I mean, I've not seen loads of him. I've seen the 3-4 games that he's played. I watch Real Madrid, and I think the fix is a very easy one. I think it's either buy a number 9, someone that can occupy the width of the 18-yard box, play Vinny Jr. on the right, play Kylian on the left. I think it's pretty simple. Or this Garcia could be the one.
We'll get to that. I thought Arda Güler looked really sharp
Amazing.
in midfield. And I'm less, when you have such extreme brain farts, individual errors like Rudiger and Heisen, I'm less concerned than when your issues are more systemic.
I'll tell you why I'd be concerned. I'd be concerned on Niko Kovac playing Niklas Zula on the right side of a 3-man defence. A guy that's big, coming back from an ACL a fair few years ago, granted, but he's a big boy. You know, he's a big lad. He's like 6'4",
Yeah,
but he's a tank.
Yeah.
You don't want him on the right side of 3. And I commentated on his games, a lot of the games that he played, and he struggled in the 3. Play him in the middle, man. Make his job a little bit more easy. Sticking with Real Madrid, Gab, 4 straight defeats, straw-fed games on the bench for Rodrigo. Is this him gone?
A lot of people are speculating. I think Real Madrid wouldn't mind monetizing him, as people say. I think the issue is I don't know what his market is. Because they're going to want a big number for him.
Yeah.
Equally, we saw last season Rodrigo plus Vini plus Mbappe plus Bellingham plus Don Hutchinson saying they need a proper center forward. I don't know. Does he want to be a super sub? I think this story is going to run and run. I see his minutes coming down. We haven't even mentioned Endrick or Mastantuono, who will be along at some point. Chelsea are also through thanks to a deflected Malagusta shot, though we did see Estevao score a worldie. Don, do Enzo Maresca's boys look like potential champions to you?
Maybe. I think they're growing into the competition. I think they are. I think they're lucky that they had an indifferent result and they've ended up on the right side of the draw, but they're in the semis against Fluminense, a very defensive side. But when you watch Chelsea, they're growing on me. I must admit, I was a bit critical last season. Maresca's style. I thought he'd lost the Chelsea sort of DNA at Stamford Bridge. Anyone that's played there over the decades will tell you it should be a hard place to go because the fans want to have that affinity and connection with the players. I thought it looked like he was the disciple of Pep and just wanted to slow, and I didn't think it suited his team. Now, I thought they were too slow. In this competition, they've been better. They're growing on me. Again, another team that needs experience. They need to go and buy age now. They need to go and find a younger Thiago Silva. A younger Frank Leboeuf.
They're not going to do that, so let's forget that.
Why not?
Joe Pedro's
Why
as far
not?
as you get.
Why should they not buy a 30-year-old
because
instead
it
of a
doesn't fit the
17-year-old?
business model.
Well, then they're not going to win then.
All right.
A late strike from Hercules give Fluminense a 2-1 win over Al Hilal, Gab. They are still undefeated. Dark horses?
It's a big, big ask, but you know what? They don't match up badly against Chelsea. I mean, like, Chelsea may go and batter them if they score early. Cole Palmer pulling something out of thin air, as we've seen him do, as we saw him do in this game, in fact. That said, this is a really defensive team, and they're well organized. I think it's a well-coached team.
Yep.
They can grind you down. Kano maybe nicking a goal at the other end. Thiago Silva beating his chest.
Did you see the clip of Thiago Silva in one of the games literally managing the team? So literally at the end of the game, he was managing the team. I think they went into extra time somewhere, and he literally took over from the coach and said, "Right, we're changing system. We're going to do this, that, and that."
He's the smartest guy on the pitch. Why shouldn't he be doing that? Now in the final against both Paris Saint-Germain and Real Madrid, I think that is
it's gonna
a
be
bridge too far. But
It's going to be hard against Paris, isn't it?
if they get there, worry about Chelsea first.